So we want to come on and talk about this new controversy developing. It's the latest Trump cabinet member wrapped up in an ethics controversy. Now, we'll go over the details of this. There's an allegation out there that Scott Pruitt got a sweetheart rent deal on a D.C. condo last year. So one issue is whether or not that actually is true. Did he actually get a sweetheart deal? But a whole separate issue is whether or not he actually got a sweetheart rent deal. If there's a controversy about it and it looks bad, that's a separate issue. If you've been following President Trump and his cabinet, President Trump has not been happy with some of the ethics scandals that have affected his cabinet. So, whether or not Scott Pruitt actually got a sweetheart rent deal and how much of a sweetheart deal it was if he did get one, might be a different issue than how President Trump feels about this. Now, I want to just make sure here that you can see me now on YouTube. I believe you can. Yes, you can. So we're back on YouTube. So we want to talk again. So there's a couple different things at issue here. One is what really happened. Oh, and by the way, YouTube put an ad on the air, so you have to click off of that. Unbelievable. So one issue here is again, what actually happened with Scott Pruitt? Did he do anything unethical? But another issue is it could be the case that he didn't do anything unethical, or he did something a bit unethical, but it's not a huge ethical deal. It could be the case that that's true, but President Trump is still angry because it's another controversy. So President Trump has been upset about past controversies like the Ben Carson spending on the table and the Ryan Zinke spending on the office doors and the David Shulkin ethics problems with the trip to England, and I think it was England and France. Well, the trip to Europe where he accepted Wimbledon tickets and he spent a lot of money. So President Trump is known to not be a fan of having his cabinet members get bad press for ethics. And so whatever the actual deal is with the story, Scott Pruitt is getting some bad press for this. So we're going to talk about the story, talk about some of the details, and also get some of your comments on this today. So let me first, before I get into the detailed story, I'm going to try to sum up, and black screen again on YouTube, I'm going to try to sum up what the details are briefly before I get into the details in detail. And I'm going to say, hey guys, so real quick, I want to encourage you to do this. If you're watching on YouTube, oops, hang on a second. If you're watching on YouTube, do this. So all you do is go to our broadcast, rewind to the black screen, pause on the black screen, right-click, troubleshoot playback issue, and then a form comes up. It says send feedback, a screenshot already on it. You can say, why can't you idiots fix this? You keep censoring right side with stupid black screens. It's been going on for a year. I'm sick of your BS and I hate you. And then just click send. There you go. So I would encourage you to all do that. Give them a piece of your mind. They probably won't care, but I would encourage you to do it anyway. So let's talk. Let me first try to sum up what's going on with this story, and then I'll get into the details of it. So to sum up briefly, here's the deal. Scott Pruitt was renting a condo last year in D.C. for 6 months. He rented this condo. Well, technically he rented a room in a condo, but he seemed to have gotten full use of the condo. But we'll get into that in a second. So anyways, he was renting a condo, and it seems like for what he got a pretty good deal. It was $50 a night for the nights he was staying there. And given the market rates of the apartments in the area and what he was getting, it seems like he got a pretty good deal. So that's one aspect. But the other aspect of this is that a co-owner of this condo where he got the good deal is this woman whose husband is a major environmental lobbyist. So the husband of the woman who co-owns this condo where he was getting this apparently good deal is a lobbyist who represents firms that are regulated by the EPA. So whatever actually happened here, you can see how to some people there'd be an appearance of impropriety. There'd be an appearance that Scott Pruitt was getting a good deal on a place that had a connection to a major environmental lobbyist. And some people might say, oh, well, he's getting a good deal on this place, so he's going to favor this lobbyist's causes when he goes into work at the EPA. Now, I'm not saying any of that actually happened. I'm just saying there could be an appearance of impropriety here. And again, as I mentioned, President Trump doesn't seem to like when his cabinet members are caught up in these ethics controversies. So, is this something that could threaten Scott Pruitt's standing with President Trump? He's been making a lot of cabinet changes lately. So anyways, that's the basic deal. So the basic issue here is that Scott Pruitt rented a condo for 6 months in D.C. last year, seemed to get a very good deal on it, and the condo is co-owned by a woman whose husband is a major lobbyist for environmental firms. So that's the basic outline. I want to get into some of the details here, and you kind of have to pick and choose the details from they're all spread out in different articles, so I'm going to go over them. And Kathy Quarter on Periscope chat says, appearance of impropriety for sure. By the way, thank you to our moderators, Barbara Braley, Gwen, and Guinevere and JC are all moderating the chat, and Jan on YouTube. Jan is there too. And Common Sense and Gleno are moderating on the website. So let's talk more specifically about these details here. And as I was saying about, President Trump being concerned, EPA's chief's $50 a night rental raises White House angst. Now, I'm not going to literally read all of the articles I have pulled up because I have a lot of them pulled up. I just want to give you a sampling of some of the different facts about the story. So as I mentioned, Pruitt leased a Washington apartment owned by a lobbyist friend last year under terms that allowed him to pay $50 a night for a single bedroom, but only the nights when he actually slept there. Now, initially, when this story started being reported, it was coming out like, oh, well, he paid $50 a night for one bedroom in a two-bedroom unit, and he was just paying for the one bedroom, which might not have seemed so, such a good deal. But at the same time, I want to show you guys this. Let me find it here. I have to find which of the three ABC stories this is in. There's three different stories here. Is it this one? Oh, here we go. So ABC News reported Pruitt was permitted to pay rent for just a single bedroom in the upstairs condo unit, even though the other bedrooms in the unit were unoccupied. So he was paying for a single room, but nobody else was staying in the unit, which leads to the question, well, was he paying for a single room but really getting the whole unit? And then related to that is this story which came out today from ABC News. They say that his daughter, okay, when she was serving as a White House intern last year, she also stayed in the two-bedroom condo. Let's see here. One source added that the two had use of the rest of the condo unit, including the kitchen and living space on a lower level. The upstairs bedroom had no other paid occupants, according to a third person familiar with the living arrangements. So if these reports are true, it's not just that he was getting one bedroom in a two-bedroom condo and somebody else was staying there with him, some person he didn't know or something. It was more that he was paying for one bedroom, but he actually got the whole condo, including two bedrooms and the kitchen and the living space, and his daughter was being allowed to stay there, presumably in a different room. I don't know for sure, but I would guess that. So that raises the issue of what was he actually getting for this $50? Now, also, I wanted to show you some comparative pricing here. So in all, he paid $6,100 to the Limited Liability Corporation for the Capitol condo co-owned by Vicky Hart, whose husband, J. Stephen Hart, is a chairman of a top D.C. lobbying firm and who is registered to lobby for several major environmental and energy concerns. Let me show you some of the pricing information I saw here, though. Where is it? Let's see here. I have to find it in the different articles. So, he lived in this condo in his first 6 months in Washington. The condo, says ABC News, is in a prime location, less than a block from the U.S. Capitol complex. So a good location, less than a block from the Capitol. And other apartments in this complex, other apartments have rented for as much as $5,000 a month, which would, if you do the math, add up to about $170 per night. Now, if the reports are true that no one else was staying in the condo and he got his daughter to stay there, his daughter was allowed to stay there with him, and he got use of the kitchen and living space, then the question becomes, was he really, for the $50 a night, getting use of this whole two-bedroom condo in a building where other apartments have rented for as much as $5,000 a month? Don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I had some other facts and figures, too, about the rents in the area. Now, I will say this. According to Bloomberg, some of the current Airbnb listings for rentals of single bedrooms inside apartments and homes on Capitol Hill range from $45 to $68 a night. Now, important to note there, that's a single bedroom in a unit, presumably where you could have other people living there. That's a single bedroom in inside an apartment in a home. So that's not a place you'd have for yourself. So someone might say, well, Scott Pruitt could have done that, but presumably he didn't want to stay in a place where other people were living if he was in the cabinet. Also, note something else here. These Airbnb rentals would be for a place, that you'd rent like one night or 2 nights. But when you go on Airbnb, when they give you the price, that price isn't for, can I use this whenever I want for 6 months? It looks like he used this apartment as his sole DC residence for 6 months. So it's a bit not a great comparison to compare to Airbnb, because when you rent out an Airbnb, you don't get exclusive right to use that apartment forever, wherever you want for 6 months. So I'd be a little bit wary of comparing what Scott Pruitt got, which was an apartment where no one else was staying, and it looks like maybe more than one bedroom, for 6 months, with the price of that for a single bedroom inside another apartment or a home on Capitol Hill that you only get to use like once. But I just wanted to throw that comparison out there. That was in an article I saw. I had some other, let's see. Now USA Today says the average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment on the Hill goes for around $29.50. Now this is the Hill in general. I don't know. So $29.50 would be about $100 a night. Now, I don't know if the average 2-bedroom apartment on the Hill is as nice as this complex where he was staying in. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Here's a photo. I can show you a photo of the complex. There's the building he was staying in. A 3-story brick duplex, 1 block from the Capitol. That's where he was staying, right there. So anyways, at least it seems that there's an argument to be made. We don't have all the facts in, but it seems there's an argument to be made that he was getting a lot more than market value for his $50 a night. And at least there's an appearance he was getting more than market value. Now, maybe he will clear all of this up and explain why what he was getting was only worth $50 a night, market value. So there's that aspect. And then again, there's that aspect where the apartment was co-owned by a woman whose husband is the chairman of a prominent lobbying firm in D.C. that represents environmental groups, including ones that are regulated by the EPA. So we do have whatever, and the facts have been kind of coming out over this. I think the first report of this was yesterday from, I think, what was the first story? I think this yesterday. Well, now it's been updated, but ABC News was the first to have a story about this yesterday, and then so they've been, I guess, journalists have been looking for more details in the last day and trying to get, confirmation about how much rent he paid and stuff, and details are slowly coming out. So maybe we'll get more details on this in the coming days. But regardless, it is a controversy, and it is something that, whatever did happen, is going to look bad to some people. And does President Trump get angry about this? We have this article from Bloomberg, headline, $50 a night rental raises White House angst. So they say in Bloomberg, White House officials are growing dismayed about the questions surrounding Pruitt's living arrangement, including his initial inability to produce any documentation about the lease or his actual payment. Eventually, the landlord provided EPA officials with a copy of the lease and proof of the payments he made. The checks, overall, he paid $6,100 to use the room for roughly 6 months. The checks show varying amounts paid on sporadic dates, not a traditional monthly rent payment of the same amount each month. That was because of the unusual rent schedule. Now, someone else might claim, if you're looking for ways this was a good deal, it looks like reportedly he only paid $50 a night for the nights he was actually there. However, I've seen nothing to suggest that anyone was staying there that time that he didn't want there. It looks like his daughter was staying there some of the time. But from the reports I've seen so far, it appears that he had exclusive use of this for 6 months. Now, if you get exclusive use of a unit for 6 months, you're paying for every night you have exclusive use, whether you're there or not. So one might argue that he might have gotten a sweetheart deal in the sense of he only had to pay $50 a night for the nights he slept there, even though technically he was getting exclusive use of it even on the nights he wasn't there because the place was being reserved for him and no one else could use it. I don't know if that was the arrangement, but, we have another black screen on YouTube. Fantastic. Wonderful. Let me just tell my boss. So I apologize to people watching on YouTube as they keep putting black screens. You can also, if you want to complain to YouTube about this, you can tweet to YouTube. Tweet to YouTube at YouTube and at Team YouTube. You can tweet to them and just ask them why they won't fix it. It's really crazy. You can look far and wide on YouTube, and strangely, no other channels ever have YouTube black screens can pop up. And strangely, it never happens on Periscope and Facebook and Twitter. Only happens on YouTube. Interesting how that works, isn't it? Oh, it just happened again. Great, thank you. Amazing. Just amazing. Hey, I'm going to send YouTube some more feedback on this because I hate them so much for doing this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this thing you can do with YouTube. I'm going to go back to one of the black screens. I'm going to pause it on the black screen. Oh, hang on. I'll pause it on the black screen. Where is it? Here's one. I'll click on Troubleshoot Playback Issue and say, fix this, and I want to in capitals, fix this stupid black screen already. And press send. There you go. Done. Makes me feel a little better, even though they never fix it. Okay, I'd love to get your comments on this story. What do you think about this story? Do you think this is a big ethical problem for Scott Pruitt or not? Remember, he's also faced ethical concerns over taking first-class air travel on work trips. Also on, there was a specific, so look, in the USA Today, they say, these reports come as Pruitt faces scrutiny over other issues, ranging from racking up more than $105,000 on first-class flights in his first year at EPA to installing a $25,000 soundproof booth in his office. So Do you think, do you think this is a big ethics issue for him or not? Also, regardless of what you think the merits of this ethics controversy are, do you think this is something where it could lead to him being in some hot water with President Trump, who is reportedly not happy with the certain with these various ethics controversies that have come up with people in his cabinet? Remember Tom Price, who's no longer around. He had the travel expenses ethics controversy. David Shulkin's no longer around. He had the controversy over his expenses on a trip to Europe. So, and another black screen. Great. Amazing. Just amazing. So would love to know, what do you think about this? Write to me, let me know. Do you think this could lead to Scott Pruitt one day being relieved of his duties as EPA administrator? Write to me on Twitter. I am at Lookner, at Lookner. Want to hear from you what you think about this. At Lookner on Twitter, at Lookner on Twitter. Also, big thank you to our moderators, JC, Barbara Braley, and Jan and Guinevere. Thank you so much. Also, just want to say we are viewer supported, so if you like that we're covering the story in a bit more depth than you'll probably see on the mainstream media, they'll probably shout about it a lot. And we're actually talking about the details. If you like that, feel free to donate to Right Side Broadcasting, because we are viewer supported. Your donations are what keep us on the air. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat. Click on the dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Let's see here. So I want to hear what you think. What do you think about this, quote unquote controversy? Do you think it's thank you, JC. JC sent a message to YouTube about the black screens. Thank you, JC. We appreciate that. I'm interested in you thinking in what you think about whether this could threaten Scott Pruitt's job. Jamie B. in the YouTube chat writes, "We cannot be so pro-Trump that we refuse to see the truth about some in his administration. Keep them square." Kathy Sanders in the YouTube chat says, "I think he is trying to get personal rewards because he has that job. Fire him, drain the swamp." GG1020, on the other hand, says, "It should not be a problem. $50 a night isn't exactly crumbs." By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you hate all the black screens that they constantly put on our broadcasts, you can always watch us on Facebook, Right Side Broadcasting. On Twitter, we put our videos on there at RSB Network. And on Periscope, we're RSBN TV. So you can go to any of those platforms. No black screens anywhere. Oh, I also want to see what's being like, if there's any kind of updates on this that have come out in the last little bit while I've been covering this. So you can see a lot of tweets about this. For example, ABC News tweeted out, EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt has spent much of his first year in Washington living in a townhouse 1 block from the U.S. Capitol that is co-owned by the wife of a top energy lobbyist. So it certainly is getting headlines. And you also know the media does love anything that can be negative for Trump will get headlines. So this is sure to get many a headline. Oh, there's this other thing about this story that I want to show you, which is kind of an odd detail. Here's this detail from last year. Last year, there was this time when the the security detail for Pruitt couldn't get a hold of him, and they thought he might be unconscious, so they broke down the door to the condo, and it ended up he was asleep. So look, EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt's protective detail broke down the door at the Capitol Hill condo where he was living last year, believing he was unconscious and unresponsive and needed rescue in a bizarre incident last year that the EPA has for months refused to discuss. It occurred on March 29, 2017. A Capitol police officer called 911 at the behest of Pruitt's security detail, which had tried unsuccessfully to reach him by phone and by banging on the building's front door. The 911 operator was told he was unconscious, and then they broke down the building's glass-paneled front door, and they found Pruitt groggy, rising from a nap. It was unclear what led to the panic. And then they did reimburse the condo owner for the damage. So that was an interesting aspect of this story. Larissa's Lighthouse says, I'm not getting why this is so bad in the chat room. Well, Larissa, here's the deal. All right, so here's an argument somebody could make that it's bad. They would say, look, he got to rent a 2-bedroom apartment and a whole 2-bedroom apartment for himself. This is what somebody might say. They might say, if you look at what the details are, it seems like he got use of a 2-bedroom awesome condo a block away from the Capitol to use for 6 months for himself, and his daughter got to stay there as well. And he only paid $50 a night, which is clearly way below market value. And the co-owner of the condo is someone whose husband is a chairman of a major lobbying firm in D.C. that lobbies for environmental groups, including environmental companies, including companies that are regulated by the EPA. So someone might say whether or not there was any kind of quid pro quo. If nothing else, it certainly looks bad. It looks like it's improper for him to be doing this because he seems to be getting a favor from some environmental lobbyist. So whether or not he actually did anything in terms of, look, maybe he never changed a single policy because of this rent. Maybe it was some friend of his and he was just like, he gave him a good deal and it didn't affect his work. But that could be the case. It could not be the case. But regardless, someone might say, well, even if he didn't change his policy, it really looks bad, and they should be avoiding these kind of appearances of being in dealings with getting special deals from friends who have a lobbying interest. So that's one issue. And then someone else might say, look, President Trump has been upset about cabinet ethics scandals, and he doesn't want these bad headlines, and he's tired of them. And so at this quite sensitive time where we've just seen David Shulkin get a lot of bad press, and he got fired, and Ben Carson get bad press, and Ryan Zinke get bad press for ethics stuff, President Trump, maybe he's just at this point has very little tolerance for any more of it, and could it maybe threaten Scott Pruitt's job? So these are just different things somebody might say. Maybe it won't threaten his job. Maybe President Trump doesn't really care. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there as could be. It's certainly going to get a lot of headlines and not be good headlines from the White House. And you might think, well, he didn't actually do anything wrong. That's fine. I'm just saying whether or not you think he did anything wrong, this will get a lot of bad press, which I'm guessing President Trump will not like. Garlic Peanut Butter wrote, Hart is the head of D.C. lobbying firm Williams & Jensen, which specifically lobbies the EPA on Clean Air Act policies, according to ABC. Hart represents Cheniere Energy, the company that owns the only liquid national gas export plant that was active when Pruitt traveled to Morocco last year on a taxpayer-funded trip to tout liquid natural gas. Hart's firm also represents the American Automotive Policy Council, which includes automakers such as Ford, who has been lobbying Pruitt to roll back the clean car standards. So that's some background that our viewer Garlic Peanut Butter sent from ABC. Yeah, and that comes from this article here from ABC News. He is the guy whose wife co-owns the condo is the chairman of this lobbying firm. Yeah, it's what we just read you there. So they do environmental lobbying. And they lobby on issues. The co-owner's husband, the co-owner of the condo's husband, is the chairman of a lobbying firm that lobbies on issues for companies that are regulated by the EPA. Okay, if you have any thoughts on this, give me a shout on Twitter @Lookner. JC says, Steve, what is the point? He is renting a space at $1,500 a month, and I am wondering where is the problem. Well, a couple things, JC. First of all, it wasn't $1,500 a month. It was more like $1,000 a month, because remember, he only paid for the nights he was there. He got a deal where he only had to pay for the nights he actually stayed there. So I think the total amount he paid was $6,100 for 6 months. Let me get that for you. But hang on. I have it here. Yeah, he paid $6,100. $6,100 total. And I believe, there you go, he paid $6,100 total from March to September. But I believe that was all he paid, and that covered, I believe, 6 months. But let me make sure. He moved out at the end of July, and it looks like he signed the lease in February, which would be 6 months, around 6 months. So if you do the math, it comes out to, what, $1,000 a month, $1,200 a month, and the deal would be that this was a 2-bedroom apartment. It seems like he might have gotten use of the entire apartment, not just a bedroom, because no one else stayed there the whole time, it looks like, and reports are that his daughter got use of it too, and they got use of the kitchen and living area. So those kind of units go for more than that in the area. So the average 2-bedroom unit on Capitol Hill goes for about $3,000 a month, and units in that complex he stayed in, that particular complex, have rented for up to $5,000 a month. So it looks like he was paying something around $1,000 a month, which would be, again, is it a huge difference in money? Is it millions of dollars? No. The point is just, the question is, was he getting a sweetheart deal on a condo from somebody who owned the condo whose husband is a major environmental lobbyist? So that's the issue. And then the issue is, regardless of how bad it actually is, does it look really bad and get bad press? And does the president get really mad about that? And according to Bloomberg, the White House is concerned about this, as we showed you, because they don't want more bad press. And they probably don't want ethics violations, too. Andrew Martineau writes on our YouTube chat, he says, that is an excellent deal for one in D.C. Jamie B. says, either way, get rid of him and start again. Light Switch says, I want all those millionaires to stay at Motel 6. Kekistani says, can we call this a nothing burger yet too soon? Well, we don't, there's a lot of details we don't know, but it's certainly not a nothing burger in the sense of it gets bad press and President Trump doesn't want bad press. I mean, that you can't, whatever you think about the allegations, you can't deny that it's going to get a lot of bad press. Yeah, you might think the bad press is unwarranted, but it's going to get it. Jim McLean says, oh man, he saved money. That's illegal, not. Now, Jim, no one is accusing him of doing anything illegal. So look, if the owner wants to give it to him for $1 a night, the owner can do that. So there's nothing illegal being charged here. The question is not to do anything illegal. There's a question of impropriety. So, there are ethics standards that these different departments have, and also that cabinet members are expected to hold up. And there's this question of, did he violate any of those ethics standards? But that's not a legal question. He hasn't committed a crime, and no one's saying he committed a crime. Jim McLean also says, when he is gone, they attack the next. Standard DNC play card. Let me see what's going on in the Facebook chat. Oops. You're going to get my audio for a second? Okay, better. Let's see. Jan Fry in the Facebook chat says, although my first reaction is to think he has a sweetheart deal, but then Democrats tend to protect anyone who is on the take for their cause and would not let it leak or report on it. Marla Rashad, thank you for your comment, for your nice words. Sandy McHugh says, so they're trashing him for getting a good deal on the condo? Well, the issue is not just the good deal on the condo, it's that the condo was co-owned by somebody whose husband is a major environmental lobbyist. Marilyn Zanatel in the Facebook chat says, if it's okay for Bill Clinton to get $500,000 for speeches, pay to play, they can just shut up. I don't want to hear about $50 room rental. Flying Eagle says this is just a big distraction. Okay, I'm going to make last call for comments now. Write to me on Twitter with comments at Lookner, at Lookner. You can follow me on Twitter as well if you'd like. I post about breaking news all the time. Follow me there. Also, you can subscribe and follow to us on our various social media outlets, Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube with their dumb black screens. You can subscribe to us there and click on the notifications bell. Also, for no black screen viewing, you can follow us on Facebook, Right Side Broadcasting, on Twitter, at RSB Network, and on Periscope, RSBN TV. And don't forget, we are viewer supported. We rely on your donations to stay on the air. Without your donations, we can't be on the air. If you'd like to donate, go to the bottom of the YouTube chat, click on the $ sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Let me just see if there's anything else out there about this that came out recently. So Maggie Haberman from the New York Times said, the theory that Pruitt isn't on Trump's radar, meaning like for firing maybe, or for being in trouble, is going to get very strenuously tested after this. So is anticipation among his allies that he could become AG. So Maggie Haberman thinks that after this news, this bad publicity has come out, maybe Pruitt might be on Trump's radar because Trump has talked about making, cabinet changes and has made a number lately. So who knows? Might this affect President? Might this put Scott Pruitt's job in jeopardy? Now, I will say this, I said he's not accused of committing a crime. Now, I believe that if you could ever show that he got a sweetheart deal on rent in exchange for doing certain particular lobbying work, well, that would be like bribery. That would be some sort of crime. But I have not heard of any kind of accusations that he actually did any work in exchange for this cheap rent. So all I've heard right now is that he got a cheap rent on this place. But of course, we'll see what other details come out. But I also, somebody was posting about an ethics law online that there could be some law about this. So I want to be sure. Let me see if I can find it. Like, is there an ethics law that you can't accept? Is there a law rather than like an ethics job regulation that you can't accept a certain gift or something like that? I'm not sure about that. So I stand to be corrected if anyone can find some sort of law that would prohibit something like this, but I don't know. I mean, ABC talks about gift rules. Gift rules prohibit executive branch employees from accepting items of value. But rules are different than laws. I would think rules involve, if you break them, you get disciplined at your job and maybe let go, but you're not breaking a law. And just a little sampling of the bad press I told you this was going to get. So, for example, we have, BuzzFeed News, Scott Pruitt's apartment deal is at the center of an ethical storm for Trump's EPA, USA Today, EPA's Ethics Council, Scott Pruitt's $50 a night room deal wasn't a prohibited gift at all. Washington Post, new details emerged, Scott Pruitt's housing arrangements under scrutiny. So there will be a lot of press about this. All right, I think we're going to wrap up this stream, and we'll let you know. If there is more details on this. I will post more details about this on my Twitter if they come out later today. And if there's other breaking news, we will come on the air and cover it. But you can follow me on Twitter at Lookner. And thank you for everybody for writing your comments and sharing them with me and participating in the chats. And thank you again to the moderators, JC, Guinevere, Jan, Barbara Braley, and Common Sense and Glono on the website. So we are wrapping this up right now. That's all we got to say on this. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for putting up with dumb YouTube black screens if you were watching on YouTube. And we hope everybody has a great evening and a great weekend. And I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing you this weekend because I'm sure news always happens. So we'll come on the air and bring you more news. But for now, we hope you have a good night. And thank you for saying thank you. I'll read one more comment. Jan Fry in Facebook chat says, if Pruitt has made concessions for this lobbyist, I'd fire him. If no apparent concessions, I would let it go. Thank you, Daniel Knight, for saying thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you, Joey Hernandez. Thank you, Kenneth Vaughn, Matt Chandler, I Dan the Man, Jamie B., Lynn Vavion, Davis Deaton, Jim McLean, Kay's Critters, Andrew Martineau, Elysia Eminem, all the moderators, Matt Slatzer, Pet My Chihuahua, Propis, N2 Peace, Elysia, Diane Burns in Facebook, and everyone else out there. Periscope chat was kind of quiet today. Hey, it's different on different days. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for joining us for this stream. And we hope you have a great night and a great weekend. And we'll see you soon with more news here at Right Side Broadcasting.